The wine glass shattered against the table. Red liquid exploded across the white tablecloth, across the turkey I had spent 4 hours roasting, across any illusion I still had about this family. "Get out of my house." My mother's voice cut through the Christmas music. "Now." I stared at her fork, frozen halfway to my mouth. Around the table, everyone went silent. My Aunt Sarah, my sister Bella, and Gary, my mother's unemployed boyfriend, smirking from his seat like he had just won the lottery. "You heard her, sweetheart," Gary said, leaning back with his arms crossed. "Time to find your own place." My mother vanished down the hallway. When she returned, she was dragging my suitcase. My suitcase, already packed. She must have done it this afternoon while I was cooking, while I was trying to make this Christmas perfect. She hurled it towards the front door. It crashed into the wall, shattering the ceramic nativity scene I had given her 3 years ago. Pieces scattered across the hardwood floor. I said, "Get out." Through the window, I could see the snow. Heavy, blinding, deadly. The kind of storm that strands people on highways. The kind of night where going outside could kill you. My mother did not care. Her eyes were ice. "I want to tell you how I got here. But first, if you are enjoying this story, or can relate to what I'm going through, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below sharing your own experiences. Your support means everything and helps me know I am not alone in this. Now let me take you back to where this nightmare really began. 12 months earlier, I had been living in a beautiful downtown apartment, a corner unit on the 15th floor with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. I had worked my way up to IT manager at a tech company, earning a salary I once thought impossible for someone like me, someone who grew up in a house where every dollar was counted twice, and luxuries were things other people had. I had my independence, my peace, my carefully constructed life, where I answered to no one and owed nothing to anyone. Then my mother called. Her voice was different that day, smaller somehow, vulnerable in a way I had never heard before. The bank was going to foreclose on the house. She was 3 months behind on the mortgage late fees, piling up threats arriving in certified mail. She cried on the phone, her sobs coming through the speaker in gasping waves, and I felt that old familiar pull, that instinct that had been programmed into me since childhood. Take care of Mom. Fix the problem. Be the good daughter. I gave up my apartment. I paid the back mortgage, the late fees, the legal costs. $43,000 in one wire transfer that emptied my savings account down to almost nothing. I moved back into my childhood bedroom, the one with the faded purple walls I had painted when I was 14, the one that still smelled faintly of the vanilla candles I used to burn while doing homework. My mother promised it would be temporary, just until she got back on her feet, just until she found a better job, just until things stabilized. The first month was almost nice. We had dinner together most nights. She seemed grateful, even emotional at times, hugging me and calling me her lifesaver. But then the requests started small at first, then growing like weeds in an untended garden. In February, Bella called me crying. She was a sophomore at the state university, living in a dorm, and apparently all her friends had cars. Nice cars, BMWs, Audis, at least Hondas if they came from more modest families. Bella felt left out, embarrassed to ask for rides, ashamed to take the bus. My mother called me right after, her voice taking on that sharp edge I knew too well, the one that meant this was not a request, but a demand disguised as a plea. "You know how hard it is for her, Jane. She already feels like she does not fit in. Can you imagine how she feels when everyone else has a car and she has to walk everywhere? You make good money. You can afford to help your sister. Or are you too selfish now that you have your fancy job?" I bought Bella a car. Not a luxury car, but a decent used Honda Civic, reliable and practical. $14,000 that I put on a payment plan because my savings were still recovering from the mortgage payment. Bella barely said thank you. She complained that it was not new, that it was silver instead of white, that the interior was cloth instead of leather. My mother told me I should have tried harder to make my sister happy. By April, I was working from home 3 days a week, a perk my company offered to promote work-life balance. Except there was no balance in that house. My mother seemed to take my presence at home as a personal invitation to destroy any possibility of me actually working. On my first remote day, she invited 6 of her friends over for afternoon cocktails. They shrieked with laughter in the living room directly below my bedroom office setup. The television blasting a reality show at maximum volume, ice clinking in glasses, the bass from their music vibrating through the floorboards. I went downstairs during a critical video call with my boss, and the senior leadership team put my mic on mute and politely asked if they could please lower the volume just for the next hour. My mother's face transformed. She stood up, swaying slightly from the wine, and pointed her finger at me, just like she would later do at Christmas dinner. "You think because you paid a few bills, you get to boss me around in my own house? This is my home, Jane. Mine. You are just staying here temporarily. You do not get to tell me what I can and cannot do under my own roof." Her friends watched with barely concealed glee, the kind of mean-spirited entertainment people get from watching someone else get torn down. I went back upstairs, my face burning, and finished the meeting in my car in the driveway, apologizing to my boss for the disruption and the unprofessional background noise. That was when Gary entered the picture. My mother met him at one of her friends' barbecues, and within 2 weeks he had moved into the house. He was 56 years old, unemployed for the past 3 years, after getting fired from a construction job for showing up drunk, and he had the kind of confidence that comes from never having to face real consequences for his actions. He took over my childhood bedroom, forcing me to move my work setup into the small den that had no door and faced directly onto the noisy kitchen. Gary treated the house like an all-inclusive resort, where he was the honored guest. He ate the groceries I bought, expensive organic produce, and quality cuts of meat that I purchased because I was trying to maintain some control over my health and diet. He would make himself elaborate breakfasts while I was in morning meetings, cracking half a dozen of my eggs, using my specialty coffee beans, leaving the kitchen destroyed for me to clean up later. He drove my car without asking, returning it with the gas tank empty and fast food wrappers stuffed in the door pockets. He left his dirty clothes in piles on the bathroom floor and his beard trimmings all over the sink. When I tried to talk to my mother about setting some boundaries, about maybe asking Gary to contribute financially or at least respect my belongings, she turned it around on me. Gary had apparently been whispering in her ear, planting seeds of paranoia and resentment. She started accusing me of trying to control her life, of judging her choices, of trying to steal the house out from under her. The house that I had saved from foreclosure. The house where I was paying the mortgage, the utilities, the property taxes, the home insurance, and the endless repair bills that kept cropping up. "Gary says you are trying to manipulate me," she told me one evening in July, her arms crossed defensively. "He says you are holding money over my head to make me feel small. He says you probably want me out of my own house so you can take it for yourself." I was so stunned. I could not even respond. I had given up my apartment, my independence, my peace of mind to save her house, and now I was being accused of trying to steal it. But I swallowed the anger, told myself she was just insecure, that Gary was the problem, that things would get better once he was gone. They did not get better. They got worse. My mother started treating me like an unwelcome boarder in a house I was paying for. She would make dinner for herself, Bella and Gary, but not for me, leaving me to fend for myself after long days of work. She would use my expensive skincare products and deny it when confronted with the evidence. She gave Bella my favorite sweater as a birthday gift, claiming I never wore it anyway, so what did it matter? When I objected, she called me petty and materialistic. The financial demands became constant. Property tax was due, and even though I had been paying the mortgage, my mother expected me to cover that too. The water heater broke, and somehow that was my responsibility to replace. Bella needed textbooks. Gary needed new work boots for a job he claimed he was about to start. My mother wanted to redecorate the living room. Every conversation became about money, about what I owed them, about how I was not doing enough. I started eating dinner in my car before coming home, sitting in parking lots and watching other people live their normal lives through restaurant windows. I started going to the gym at 5 in the morning just to have a place to shower in peace. I started spending weekends at the library or coffee shops, anywhere but that house that suffocating space that had once been my childhood home, but now felt like a prison I was paying rent to stay in. In early December, I made a decision. I was done. I had been quietly looking at apartments, saving money again, despite the constant financial drain, planning my exit strategy. I was going to tell my mother after Christmas that I was moving out, that I would continue to pay the mortgage for 3 more months, to give her time to figure out her situation, but that I could not live there anymore. I had been seeing a therapist since October, someone who helped me realize that what I was experiencing was financial abuse, emotional manipulation, and that I had every right to establish boundaries and protect myself. But I never got the chance to leave on my own terms. 1 week before Christmas, I was working from the den as usual. My laptop open on the small desk, spreadsheets and code filling the screen. I was in the middle of debugging a critical system issue, the kind of high-pressure situation where one wrong move could cost the company thousands of dollars. Gary walked in holding a beer, despite it being 11 in the morning, and plopped down on the couch behind me. He started watching television, some sports commentary, show the volume unnecessarily loud. "Gary, I am working on something really important right now," I said, trying to keep my voice level. "Could you please watch that in the living room or use headphones?" He laughed, actually laughed, and turned the volume up higher. "This is the family room, sweetheart. Family gets to use it. Maybe you should go work at Starbucks if you need quiet." I gritted my teeth and tried to focus my stress levels, climbing my heart, pounding in my chest. 20 minutes later, Gary stood up, beer in hand, and walked past my desk. I still do not know if what happened next was truly an accident or deliberate, but his elbow knocked into his beer bottle, and the entire thing spilled directly onto my laptop keyboard. I watched in horror as the amber liquid seeped between the keys, the screen flickering once, twice, then going black. $3,000 worth of equipment, my entire work life, every file and project I had been managing, dead in an instant. I jumped up frantically, trying to shake the liquid out, knowing it was already too late, knowing the damage was done. "Oops," Gary said, his tone completely devoid of actual remorse. "Accidents happen." I spun around to face him, and for the first time in my life, I truly let my anger show. "You just destroyed my work laptop. Do you have any idea what you have done? I have a presentation due tomorrow. I have client data on here. I have everything on here." Gary shrugged, unconcerned, already walking away. "It's just a computer. You make plenty of money. Buy another one." My mother appeared in the doorway, drawn by my raised voice. I turned to her, expecting support, expecting her to see how wrong this was, expecting her to stand up for me just this once. But before I could even explain what had happened, Gary got there first. "Linda, your daughter is freaking out over a little spilled beer. I barely bumped the table and now she is acting like I committed a crime." My mother looked at the dead laptop, at the beer still dripping onto the carpet, at my face flushed with anger and frustration, and she made her choice. "Jane, it was an accident. These things happen. Stop being so dramatic. You work for a tech company. Just tell them your computer broke and get a new one. And stop yelling at Gary. He did not mean it." Something inside me cracked. Not broke, but cracked, a fracture that had been forming for months, finally spreading to the surface. I looked at my mother, really looked at her, and I realized she was never going to change. She was never going to appreciate what I had sacrificed. She was never going to protect me or defend me or even see me as anything other than a resource to be exploited. "I am not paying for your groceries anymore," I said, my voice cold and calm. "I am not paying for Bella's car anymore. I am not paying for anything beyond the mortgage and utilities that keep this house running. If you want spending money, get a job. If Gary wants beer, he can buy his own." My mother's face turned red. "How dare you? After everything I have done for you, raising you, giving you a home, and this is how you treat me. You are selfish and ungrateful." I did not argue. I just walked away, went to my room and started making phone calls. I called my company's IT department and explained the situation, getting authorization to purchase a replacement laptop on the company card. I called my insurance company about the damaged personal data. I called my bank. and cancelled the debit card my mother had access to for household groceries. I called the car financing company and explained that I would no longer be making payments on Bella's vehicle. For the next week, the house was silent and cold, despite the Christmas decorations my mother had insisted I help put up. No one spoke to me unless absolutely necessary. My mother gave me wounded looks. Bella sent me angry text messages about how I was ruining her life and she would have to drop out of school if she could not get to her part-time job. Gary muttered insults under his breath whenever I walked by. I bought a turkey anyway. I bought all the fixings for a traditional Christmas dinner, expensive wine, fresh cranberries, artisan bread, quality ingredients. Because some stupid part of me still hoped that maybe Christmas would be different. Maybe the holiday spirit would remind my mother that I was her daughter, that I deserved basic respect and kindness. Maybe we could sit down together and I could explain how hurt I had been, and she would finally understand. I was so naive. Christmas morning arrived cold and bright, the snow from the previous night blanketing everything in pristine white. I spent hours in the kitchen, preparing the turkey-making stuffing from scratch whipping, real potatoes, steaming green beans with almonds, baking the pumpkin pie my mother always said was her favorite. The house smelled like every good memory I had ever had of the holidays, back when my father was still alive, back when we were a real family, instead of whatever twisted version we had become. Bella arrived from her dorm around 2 in the afternoon, barely acknowledging me going straight to her room. My Aunt Sarah showed up half an hour later, my mother's older sister, who had always been kind to me, but never quite understood the dynamics of our household. We all gathered around the dining table at 4, the turkey golden and perfect in the center, the candles lit, the good china set out. I poured the wine, that expensive Cabernet I had splurged on, hoping to make the meal special. I started to carve the turkey, playing the role of hostess in a house I had saved, but would never truly own. My mother sat at the head of the table, where my father used to sit Gary beside her, his arm possessively across the back of her chair. That is when I made my mistake. I mentioned casually, just making conversation, that I had been thinking about looking at apartments after the new year. I did not say I was leaving, just that I was exploring my options. I thought I was being diplomatic, giving advance notice, being considerate. My mother's hand slammed down on the table, the impact so sudden and violent that everyone jumped. Her wine glass tipped over the red liquid, spreading across the white tablecloth like a wound opening up. And she was standing, her face contorted with rage, her voice rising to a shout. "You ruined my Christmas. Jane, all I wanted was one nice holiday, one peaceful day with my family, and you have to talk about abandoning me. You are so selfish, so ungrateful. Pack your things and get the hell out of my house. Now." And that brings us back to this moment. The moment where I stand in the dining room, my hands shaking, my heart pounding, my entire world tilting on its axis. Aunt Sarah looks uncomfortable, her eyes darting between me and my mother. Bella is staring at her plate fork frozen halfway to her mouth. Gary is smirking, enjoying every second of this. "Mom," I say, my voice surprisingly steady. "Are you sure you want me to leave right now?" "On Christmas." "I am sick of looking at your face," she hisses. "You think you are better than us because you have money. You hold it over my head, you judge me. You make me feel small in my own home. I do not need you. Get out." Something settles over me, then a strange calm, a clarity I have not felt in months. I look around the table one more time. At the turkey I spent hours preparing. At the pie cooling on the counter. At the presents I had wrapped and placed under the tree gifts I had carefully chosen for each person, spending money I did not really have to spare because I wanted to make Christmas special. No one is going to eat this food. No one is going to open those presents with gratitude or love. This was never going to be the Christmas I had hoped for. This family was never going to suddenly transform into the loving, supportive unit I had been desperately trying to create. I stand up, pushing my chair back slowly. I walk to the hall closet and pull on my winter coat, the good one I bought on sale last year. I pick up my purse and my phone. I do not argue. I do not cry. I do not beg for her to reconsider. But I do one thing before I leave. I walk over to the entertainment center and unplug the modem, the sleek black box that provides internet and television to the entire house. I unplug the smart home hub, the device that controls the thermostat, the security system, the lights. Both devices fit easily in my coat pockets. "What are you doing?" my mother demands. "These are mine," I say simply. "I bought them. I am taking them with me." Gary stands up, his face reddening. "You cannot do that. Watch me." I walk to the front door, stepping over the suitcase my mother packed for me. I do not take it. It is probably missing half my things anyway, packed carelessly by someone who could not wait to be rid of me. I have my purse, my phone, and my car keys. That is all I need right now. I walk out into the Christmas evening, into the falling snow that is already covering my car. Behind me, I hear my mother shouting, but I do not turn around. I get in my car, start the engine, and pull out of the driveway. In my rearview mirror, I see the house already going dark as the smart lights lose their connection. Soon the heat will start to drop as the smart thermostat stops functioning. I drive through the quiet suburban streets, past houses glowing with warm lights and happy families. I drive until I reach the Regency Hotel downtown, one of those 5-star places I used to walk past, and wonder what it would be like to stay there. I park in their underground garage and walk into the gleaming lobby with its marble floors and massive Christmas tree decorated in gold and silver. "I need a room," I tell the woman at the front desk. "Of course," she says with a professional smile. "King bed or 2 queens?" "King, for at least a week, maybe longer." She does not ask why I am checking into a hotel on Christmas night with no luggage. She just processes my credit card and hands me a key card. The room is on the 18th floor with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. It is beautiful and quiet, and mine. I order room service, expensive lobster bisque and filet mignon, and a bottle of champagne that costs more than I should spend, but I do not care. I sit by the window in the plush armchair, eating slowly, savoring every bite, feeling the tension in my shoulders gradually release. Then I open my laptop, the replacement one I had overnighted to my office the week before, and I begin what I have come to think of as the deactivation protocol. First, the internet. I log into the account and cancel the service effective immediately. No warning, no grace period. The cancellation confirmation arrives in my email within minutes. Next, the cable television. Same process. Click confirm done. Then the family phone plan. I remove both my mother and Bella from my account, which terminates their service instantly. I keep my own number and downgrade to an individual plan. I log into my credit card accounts and report the supplementary cards as lost. The ones I had given my mother and Bella for emergencies that had somehow become their primary spending method. Cancelled new cards issued only to me. The car payment for Bella's Honda. I call the auto loan company's 24-hour line and explain that I will no longer be making payments on this vehicle. They inform me they will send a repossession notice. I thank them and hang up. Finally, the utilities. The electric and water bills are in my name, set up when I first moved back to handle the foreclosure situation. I use the online portals to request service disconnection due to moving effective tomorrow morning. The customer service chatbot does not ask questions, just processes the request. By the time I am done, it is past midnight, technically the day after Christmas now. I should feel guilty. I should feel like a terrible person. But all I feel is relief, like I have been holding my breath underwater for a year, and I have finally broken the surface and can breathe again. I take a long shower in the hotel's luxurious bathroom, using the complimentary products that smell like lavender and vanilla. I wrap myself in the soft bathrobe and climb into the enormous bed with its high thread count sheets. I set my phone to Do Not Disturb and fall asleep within minutes, the first peaceful sleep I have had in months. I wake up to 73 missed calls and 46 text messages. I do not have to read them to know what they say. Variations on "How dare you? How could you? You are a horrible person. You are going to hell. We are family. How can you do this to your own mother?" I block all their numbers. Every single one. My mother, Bella, Gary, even Aunt Sarah, who sent me a long, rambling message about forgiveness and family bonds. I do not need to read their words. I do not need their guilt trips or manipulation or attempts to pull me back into dysfunction. I order room service breakfast and scroll through apartment listings on my laptop. I have my job, I have my salary, I have some savings left, despite everything. I can afford a nice one-bedroom in a good neighborhood. I can afford to start over. That afternoon, I get a notification on my phone from the home security system. The camera I had installed in the dining room, the one my mother did not know about because she never paid attention when I explained the security upgrades I was making, has detected motion and recorded a clip. I almost do not watch it, but curiosity gets the better of me. The video shows my mother, Bella, and Gary sitting in the dark dining room, the Christmas turkey still on the table, now cold and congealed. They are trying to use their phones in the dim light coming through the windows, but their phones have no service since I cancelled the plan. Gary is yelling, his face red and furious. My mother is crying, mascara running down her face. Bella looks genuinely scared for the first time in her entitled life. Gary storms out of frame, and I hear a door slam. The video ends. Over the next few days, my mother tries everything to reach me. She creates new Facebook accounts after I block her original one. She has friends message me on her behalf. She even shows up at my office, but I have already alerted building security, and they escort her out before she can reach my floor. She posts on Facebook a long dramatic story about her ungrateful daughter who abandoned her elderly mother on Christmas, who cut off her utilities in the middle of winter, who left her to freeze and starve. She paints herself as the victim, me as the villain. Her friends comment with outrage, calling me names, saying I should be ashamed. I let it simmer for 3 days. I let her build her narrative, let her dig herself deeper into the lie, let everyone rally around her and share their opinions about what a terrible person I am. Then I post the video. Not the one from Christmas night, though I have that too. The one from Thanksgiving. The other holiday I had tried to make special where my mother told me I was a burden, and Gary openly mocked my appearance in front of family members. The camera had caught it all. The cruelty, the laughter at my expense, the way no one defended me. I post it without commentary. Just the raw footage, and I add screenshots. Screenshots of every mortgage payment I had made, every utility bill I had covered, every grocery receipt, every car payment for Bella, every single expense I had shouldered for the past year. The total comes to $87,412. The caption I write is simple. Freedom is priceless. Good luck with the bills. I watch the comments roll in, but this time they are different. People are shocked. People are asking questions. People are starting to realize that maybe there are two sides to this story. My mother's post gets deleted within hours. In January, I get a call from a number I do not recognize. I almost do not answer, but something makes me pick up. This is Jefferson County Bank, the voice says. We are trying to reach Linda Morrison regarding her delinquent mortgage account. Our records show you as an authorized contact. I am no longer involved with that property, I say. You will need to contact Ms. Morrison directly. We have been trying. She is not responding to our notices. The account is now 4 months past due. We will be initiating foreclosure proceedings next month unless the arrears are paid in full. I understand, but that is not my responsibility. Please remove me from your contact list for this account. I hang up feeling nothing. No guilt, no sadness, no urge to swoop in and save the day one more time. That house was never mine. Those people were never really my family, not in any way that mattered. February brings more messages, these ones increasingly desperate. Gary has left, vanished in the night, taking my mother's jewelry box with him, the antique one my grandmother had left her. Bella had to drop out of college and get a job waitressing at Denny's. She moved back home because she could not afford the dorm anymore. But now she is living in a house with no internet, sporadic electricity, and a mother who blames everyone but herself for her problems. My mother finally gets to me in person at the end of February. She somehow finds out where my new apartment building is and waits in the lobby. The doorman calls me, and I make a decision. I go downstairs, but I bring my phone recording the interaction for my own protection. She looks terrible. Her hair is unwashed, her clothes wrinkled and stained. She is holding a small box, the kind bakery cookies come in from the discount grocery store. She tries to smile when she sees me, but it comes out as more of a grimace. "Jane, honey, I brought your favorite cookies." They are not my favorite. They are Bella's favorite. She does not even know what I like after 27 years. "What do you want, Linda?" I do not call her Mom anymore. She lost that title on Christmas night. Her face crumples. "I came to apologize. I was wrong. I should not have kicked you out. I should not have let Gary treat you that way. Please come home, please help us. We are going to lose the house." "You already lost the house," I say. "You lost it the moment you chose Gary over your daughter. You lost it when you decided my money was more important than my humanity. But I am your mother. You cannot just abandon your family. You abandoned me first. Every time you let Gary disrespect me. Every time you demanded money but never gratitude. Every time you made me feel like I was a walking ATM instead of a person." She grabs my arm and the doorman steps forward, but I wave him off. "I am sorry," she says, and she is crying now. Real tears, not the manipulative ones she used to get her way. "Please, I need you." "You do not need me," I say gently, removing her hand from my arm. "You need a therapist. You need to learn how to take responsibility for your own choices. And you need to understand that love is not about what people can do for you financially. I am done being your safety net. I am done sacrificing myself for people who would never do the same for me. So you are just going to let us end up on the street. You are not going to end up on the street. You are going to have to make hard choices, budget, maybe downsize, maybe get a roommate, maybe work full-time. You are going to have to do what millions of other people do every day. You are going to have to be an adult." I turn to walk away, but she calls after me one more time. "What about family? What about blood?" I stop and look back at her. Family is not just blood, Linda. Family is respect. Family is reciprocity. Family is people who love you even when you cannot do anything for them. You taught me that, just not in the way you intended. I walk away, and I do not look back. The doorman nods at me with understanding in his eyes. In the elevator, I feel lighter than I have in years. By April, I have settled into my new life completely. My apartment is a one-bedroom in a modern building with a gym, a rooftop garden, and a doorman who knows my name. I adopted a dog from the shelter, a 3-year-old golden retriever mix named Sunny, who greets me every day like I hung the moon. I joined a book club and a cycling group. I started dating someone I met at a coffee shop. Someone who respects my boundaries and never asks me for money. I got a promotion at work, partly because, without the chaos at home, I could focus on my career again, put in the effort and attention my job deserved. My boss told me I seemed different, more confident, more present. I told her I had made some life changes and left it at that. My apartment has a small balcony where I drink my morning coffee and watch the sunrise over the city. I have plants that I actually remember to water. I have art on my walls that I chose because I like it, not because someone else told me what I should like. I have peace. Sometimes I think about my mother and Bella. I wonder if they learned anything, if they changed, if they ever understood what they lost. But mostly, I do not think about them at all. They are part of my past, a chapter I closed, a lesson I learned about the difference between obligation and choice. I found out through a mutual acquaintance that they did lose the house. They moved into a 2-bedroom apartment across town, splitting the rent. Bella still works at Denny's. My mother got a job at a call center. They are managing, surviving, doing what they should have been doing all along, instead of relying on me to subsidize their lives. I do not feel guilty about that. I do not feel anything about it except maybe a distant hope that someday they will understand that I did not ruin their lives. They ruined their own lives by taking for granted someone who loved them, by exploiting kindness and mistaking it for weakness. On Christmas Eve of this year, nearly 12 months after the worst and best night of my life, I host a small dinner party at my apartment. My new friends, people who reciprocate my energy, who value my company for who I am rather than what I can provide. We cook together, laugh together, exchange modest gifts we chose with thought and care. It is everything that last Christmas was not. It is real. My phone buzzes with a message from an unknown number. I know without opening it that it is probably my mother, probably asking for money again, probably spinning some new sob story. I delete it without reading it. I raise my glass of wine, the good kind I can afford, because I am only supporting myself now, and I make a silent toast to freedom, to boundaries, to self-respect, to the courage it takes to walk away from people who do not deserve you. Family is about more than blood. Family is about respect, reciprocity, and unconditional love that goes both ways. If the people you call family do not give you those things, then maybe it is time to build your own family, one that actually deserves the title. So let me ask you, have you ever had to walk away from someone you loved because loving them was destroying you? Have you ever had to choose yourself over family expectations? Drop your story in the comments below. Hit that like button if you believe that self-respect is more important than obligation. Subscribe if you want to hear more stories about finding strength in the hardest moments. And remember, you are never selfish for protecting your peace. You are never wrong for demanding basic respect. You are never the villain for refusing to set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm.